What is our world built from? Steel? Concrete? Electricity? No, the world today is built from data. And I don't mean spreadsheets, numbers, or statistics tucked away in some corporate report. I'm talking about something much deeper, universal language that now describes how we live, what we want, and who we are. Every interaction we have leaves a trace. Every decision we make emits a signal. Every movement becomes information. Our consumption becomes data. Our work becomes data. Our identity, our intentions, they all become data. And for the first time in history, the most valuable asset on Earth isn't land or oil or gold or even labor. It's the ability to capture, process, and monetize information. This is the story of how the modern world quietly turned everything into data and how that transformation reshaped power, economics, and the very structure of our society. It all begins with something simple: measurement. For most of human history, only a few things could be measured reliably: harvests, taxes, trade goods. Everything else existed in the realm of intuition. Governments had to guess what people needed. Businesses had to guess what people wanted. Institutions had to guess how people behaved. The world ran on approximations. Then the digital age arrived. And it did something radical. It made human behavior measurable continuously, precisely, and exhaustively. It doesn't just track what you buy, but how long you hesitated before buying. It doesn't just know where you go, but the micro patterns of your daily routes. It doesn't just see what you consume, but the emotional triggers behind it. The economy didn't just get more data. It became data. And here's the crucial part. When a system becomes measurable, it becomes optimizable. When it becomes optimizable, it becomes predictable. And when it becomes predictable, it becomes controllable. This shift wasn't just technological. It was structural. The first major transformation happened in the marketplace. Every purchase used to be a simple transaction. Now, it's a data event. When you buy a coffee, the system learns your preferences. The time of day you buy, your location, how often you buy, your price sensitivity, your seasonal habits, and even which offers you respond to. One coffee can generate 15 data points. Multiply that by billions of people and trillions of interactions, and you get something unprecedented. An economy where companies no longer compete for customers, they compete for behavioral data. Before, businesses sold products. Today, they sell predictability. If a company can predict what people will do, it can monetize what they will do. This logic created the most powerful corporations of the 21st century. They aren't on top because they sell the best products, but because they store the most human behavior. Google holds our intention data. Amazon, our consumption data. Meta, our social data. TikTok, our emotional response data. Our identity and ecosystem data. They don't just observe the world, they model it. The second transformation took place in our work. A job used to be defined by a set of tasks. Now, it's defined by data streams. Every email you send, every dashboard you check, every line of code you write, every meeting you attend, all creates metadata about your efficiency, your habits, and your communication patterns. Your productivity is no longer just about your output. It's evaluated by metrics extracted from your digital behavior, your keystrokes, your response times, your workflow patterns. Companies aren't just managing workers anymore, they're managing behavioral information flows. This isn't just about surveillance, it's about optimization. Because in a world where everything becomes data, your work isn't just what you do, it's the information you generate. The third transformation happened at the societal level. Once governments realized that digital interactions could be quantified, they began to rebuild entire systems around information. Traffic is now data. Energy consumption is data. Healthcare, education, crime, epidemics, it's all data. In a world of real-time information, the state can shift from being reactive to being predictive. Instead of just responding to crises, it can forecast them. Instead of managing shortages, it can model them. A datafied society doesn't wait for problems, it simulates them. The more a government can model, the more it can govern. But perhaps the deepest transformation of all happened at the psychological level. Before data, our world was defined by limitations. Limited news, limited choices, limited communication. Now, every preference, every emotion, every hesitation becomes part of an informational profile, a model of you that is constantly being refined by your behavior. And that model doesn't just describe you, it predicts you. Your digital self, your data double, is becoming more accurate than your physical self. It knows your routines better than you do. It knows your future purchases before you decide. It knows what content you'll watch before you watch it. It even knows your political leanings before you consciously form them. This isn't manipulation. It's statistical inference at an industrial scale. Your behavior creates data. That data reveals patterns. Those patterns lead to predictions. And those predictions shape what you see, what you choose, and ultimately, what you believe. In a data-driven world, your identity becomes a feedback loop. So why did data replace everything else as the core asset of modern civilization? The answer is simple. Data solves uncertainty, and uncertainty is expensive. Data makes it cheap. With data, markets become more efficient, logistics become optimized, and companies become scalable. Products become personalized, risks become manageable, and behavior becomes predictable. The entire modern economy is powered by one single force, reducing the cost of not knowing. And nothing does that better than information. But there is a hidden cost to this rise of data. When everything becomes data, everything becomes visible. And what is visible can be evaluated. What can be evaluated can be optimized. And what can be optimized can be controlled. Data creates convenience, intelligence, and efficiency. But it also creates dependency. If maps predict traffic, we stop learning to navigate. If feeds predict our preferences, we stop exploring. If algorithms predict our desires, we stop truly deciding. A world built on data is powerful, but it is also fragile. Because when everything becomes information, a failure in the system becomes a failure in reality itself. And there's a final layer to this transformation. The next phase isn't just about collecting data. It's about autonomy. Artificial intelligence doesn't just process data. It generates new data. It synthesizes new interpretations and predicts new outcomes. It creates new feedback loops. We're moving towards self-expanding information systems where machines generate models, decisions, and content faster than humans can even consume it. We are entering an era where content is infinite, choices are automated, workflows are algorithmic, and reality itself becomes personalized. The endpoint of this trend is clear. Humans produce data, that data trains AI, and the AI produces even more data, allowing systems to optimize themselves. Data becomes both the input and the output. The world becomes self-measuring, self-correcting, and self-organizing. This isn't just a story about technology. It's a story about structure. When everything turns into data, societies stop being collections of people and start being networks of information. And in that world, power belongs to whoever can collect the data, interpret it, predict behavior, and engineer outcomes. The agricultural age ran on land. The industrial age ran on machines. The digital age runs on information. But the next age, the one we are entering right now, runs on data that predicts and reshapes human behavior. This is the true foundation of our modern world. Not resources, not labor, not capital. It's the information generated by every single second of modern life. Everything is turning into data. Not because technology demands it, but because the economy rewards it. And the institutions that master this transformation will define the systems we all live in for the rest of this century. Thanks for watching. If this made you think, consider subscribing for more content like this. See you in the next one.